halfway between Waukesha and Milwaukee in Wisconsin. First, I made a guitar on a string, suspended it on a railroad track, and made it into a guitar. Guitar is not loud enough.
Sunrise while you try and think of it.
Hey guys, what's up? If you're new here, welcome, and if you're returning, welcome back. This is the Beardsman channel. If you're into musical instruments or guitars, there's a really cool Les Paul exhibit that I found here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I want to show it to you because it has a lot of the original guitars, the original log that Les Paul created, and it's got a lot of really cool artifacts from the Les Paul estate. So let's go check it out, and we'll show you a little bit around and some really cool guitars. I think you're going to find it interesting. Les was in his 40s when arthritis began to slowly rob his fingers of their flexibility. Despite the pain and loss of motion, he continued to play guitar until just a few weeks before his death in 2009 at the age of 94. This is Les Paul's hometown tour.
Location number 1 on the Les Paul tour ready. You are looking at
There's Les outside of his mother's home on St. Paul Avenue in Waukesha, Wisconsin. Les Paul and Mary Ford at home, brought to you by Listerine. That is a classic. Here's cards from Richie Sambora. These are all artifacts through the years from Les Paul. Here's the G8 Bible recording model guitar. Look at that beautiful piece of art. Les Paul's Bible. This guitar is the basis for all Gibson Les Paul recording guitars. Les Paul built their solid body electric guitar between 50 and 52 and took it as a prototype to Gibson. Although Gibson Les Paul guitars look similar to this one, there are significant differences. Most Gibson Les Paul guitars are arch tops. Les gave his a flat top, believing the arch top would be more expensive to design and build. Here's the Gibson G80. Experimented with the sound quality he could obtain. Les always enjoyed tinkering with the sound quality of guitars. Here's the Gibson G80. How cool is that to see that? Les used this experimental guitar in his weekly performances at Fat Tuesdays in the 1980s. The large size and strength of the magnets in the pickups affected the vibrations of the guitar strings. And there's a picture of Les with it. And there it is right there. How cool is that? What a beautiful guitar. 6S Custom. Set, maple neck, rosewood fingerboard, 24 frets. 73 to 79 this guitar was available. Like I've always said, a lot of these guitars are just art. They're pieces of art. Here's the G212 brown stock recording guitar. And the G15 red recording model right here. There's very nice guitars. The pulverizer. What began as a joke now took physical form. The pulverizer had been a convenient way to explain the level of complexity Les was able to achieve while in the studio, using sound on sound. For the first time, however, he was incorporating multi-track tape recording in a live audience setting. The black box, affectionately dubbed the pulverizer, became the means to operate 2 tape machines he placed off stage. How cool is that? He was really, really ahead of his time with what he put out and the designs he had. Here's Les Paul's Gibson L5. Les got his first 2 L5 guitars in 1933 when he was 18. One model was from 1929, the other from 1930. This is the 1930 L5 that belonged to Les Paul. About the Les Pulverizer. I needed to come up with something to tell radio listeners why they were hearing more than one Mary and multiple guitars. Rather than explain it all technically, I wanted to make something we could use as a running gag. Les told listeners that the audio signals were multiplied by a magic box called the Les Pulverizer. I think so much of the designs and ideas that Les brought forward were so revolutionary that a lot of them weren't even recognized or given credit at the time. So it's kind of cool to see some of the displays and what he did. Let's keep checking them out. This is the Ding Dong, nicknamed the Ding Dong. Les built it to test the magnetic quality of strings, which strings produce the most voltage, and what sound quality he could expect from plucking strings high versus low. He quickly realized the benefit of this method. While other record producers and recording artists relied on electronic mixers to balance the sound, he was engaged in sound manipulation on the most basic levels. Look at how archaic that is, yet at the time would have been ahead of its time. Alrighty, another guitar on display here at the Les Paul exhibit is the headless aluminum guitar. I banged this thing out on the sidewalk in my backyard and I played the Paramount with the Andrews Sisters and Paul Whiteman and Jack Smith. The guitar, it did its thing, and I made Lover with this, and Caravan and Brazil with it. But I found out playing the Paramount Theater that as soon as the big spotlight hits you and this thing heats up, I'm in another key. Check that out. The headless aluminum guitar. Check it out. That is cool. There's the gold record for Les Paul and Mary Ford. And the clunker. An electric guitar produces sound when strings vibrate. The vibration creates an electric signal. The magnets, otherwise known as pickups, allow us to hear the music of a guitar. By tinkering the pickups on the clunker, moving up and down, Les learned he could modify the sound of an electric guitar. Very cool to see this. It's really, really, this is an amazing Les Paul exhibit here in Milwaukee, right by his hometown. Alrighty guys, one of the things that I was really looking forward to seeing here, which is here, and I was looking forward to seeing is the log. So I want to show it to you. Let's check it out. This is the log right here. Check that out. Les was in New York. In 1941, his guitar playing career had taken off, but he was haunted by the beautiful sound of his rail guitar. He took a 4x4 piece of pine, strung it like a guitar, added his homemade pickups, a bridge, and he got the sound he wanted, and he called it the log. Now, I'm sure you guys all know what this turned into, but anyway, everyone turned him down, and he was determined. He took the old Epiphone guitar, sawed it in half, and gave his log Epiphone wings so it would look more like a guitar. He was confident after that with his log guitar that he took it to show some of the Epiphone executives, but they weren't interested. In 1951, Gibson called Les and worked closely with him to design and build what would become the Gibson Les Paul solid body electric guitar. The first models were sold in 1952, and we all know the history of that. But that's the original log that started it all. The solid body Les Pauls. Here's the Gibson L5 from Les Paul's personal collection. Here's the Les Paul Deluxe from pre-1970s. To whom it may concern, this is to verify that the 1970 Gibson Les Paul guitar was owned by me since 1970 and used on all our hits with Three Dog Night since this date. It can be seen on the cover of our album titled Naturally, which featured our hit song Joy to the World. This is from his personal collection. Very, very cool. This is a Gibson prototype electric guitar. Look at the shape of that. How cool is that? And this goes through the history of his solid body guitar. There's the wood, the design, the adjustable truss rod inserted, giving it some shape, the cut for the electronics, and setting the neck. And this is your solid body guitar history, which, like I said, was frowned upon at the time, but he knew he was onto something. And then it brings you to that. The Gibson Les Paul standard model. Right there. There's an Alpine White Les Paul Custom. These guitars are just incredibly beautiful. They're really, really neat to see. Now, for Les's 90th birthday celebration, a star-studded cast joined him in celebrating. And this has all kinds of autographs on it and was presented to Les. There's a double neck. The double neck guitar was built for me by Gibson. I had my assistant Earl Davis add a mic input. He's a crackjack, this guy. I swear the motel we were staying in Pittsburgh is missing a shower fixture. I came out with 2 pairs of glasses, and naturally Mary and the band cracked up. But this is the double neck guitar of Les Paul.
Are we ready? All right, you see me hard.
American Music Master Concert 2008. And there's all the signatures on that guitar. Everybody's basically featured on that guitar. Here's the Guitar of the Month in April 2008. Is that a whammy bar? Alrighty guys, that was some of the guitars, some of the artifacts, some of the photos from Les Paul's life. I thought it was really cool, and I learned things as well. It was really cool to see, for me anyway, how the solid body guitar came from a piece of wood to where it ended up, and nobody wanting to manufacture it. I mean, I knew that part of the story, and then Gibson calling Les and teaming up and designing what would become the Les Paul. But it was really interesting to see. I hope you found it interesting as well. Let me know what you think. Leave me a comment below, and I appreciate you watching. Subscribe. I'm going to try to find more interesting things to show you, more museums, more landmarks, and more true crime. Thanks, guys. Take care.